So the best way to understand Donald Trump is that he's really petty and he's very jealous. And today he's really jealous of both China and Canada, and by extension, both Xi and Carney. And I want to give you guys the latest as this is what's going on as it affects policy. First, Trump did an uninvite to Canada, withdraw the invitation to basically the Trump's Board of Peace, or you could call it a birthday party. Like, you're not invited to my birthday party anymore, right? And Trump was claiming that it's going to be the most prestigious board ever assembled at any time. And another way to say it, Trump's like, my birthday party is going to have all the coolest kids, and you're going to be so sad that you can't come to my cool birthday party. And then Trump looks out, and Canada and China are making friends with like all the cool kids, and none of the cool kids come to Trump's birthday party. And then Trump just looks like pretty lame, right? And so then he gets really angry. So what's going on today then? He tweets out, Canada is against the Golden Dome being built over Greenland, okay? Even though the Golden Dome would protect Canada, instead they voted in favor of business with China, who will, quote, eat them up within the first year. And, from Trump's point of view, is how he talks is like, Canada, if you don't have a relationship with me, you can never find a better relationship, or Canada, you depend on us kind of stuff. And then when they see Canada going out and making friends with all the cool kids and having a great life and everyone's smiling and their friend group is like cooler and bigger and better, and Trump looks at his friend group and is like, I don't got anybody. And and that's what he does. He's like petty and jealous and just not someone you want to be friends with. It's obvious. And then you got this kind of stuff. Their policy then is to tweet out these weird memes. Be a warrior, embrace the penguin. Okay. And so I guess Trump's plan to make friends is to basically use the military, point guns at people and say, see, you're going to be my friend now. like threaten people to be your friend. It's so ludicrous. And I tell you guys so many times, one of the ways that say China or Canada is successful is you develop partnerships, business relationships where it's win-win both sides. Whereas Trump, he just wants to, take advantage of people. It's like, I win, you lose, and such like that. We're really whacked out. This is also the White House and Trump. They say embrace the penguin. It's got Trump marching around with a penguin and American flag in Greenland, supposedly. If you look at some of the replies, one person says the only thing you embrace, right, has the penguin in the Israel flag. Or there was a China response that says Greenland has polar bears but no penguins. Trump collect tariffs against the penguin, and basically the polar bears conquering Trump there. Another one has got the penguin all by itself. Or, bro, this is Antarctica. And then you got a video of Trump marching around in a penguin suit leading other penguins. It's so weird that this is how we conduct business these days, but it is what it is. And this is actually really big news. This signals, this is from Fox News, that the USA is considering leaving Korea. It says here, this is from Fox News just a couple hours ago, Pentagon plans to give South Korea primary role in deterring North Korea threats under new strategy. And they released this just on a Friday, right? Like kind of maybe no one would notice sort of thing. It's a weekend here in Korea, so it's just, reaching our news here. But this is something that I kind of had a feeling it was going to happen. And it also is connected to China as well, which I'll get into. This is from The Guardian. They say, Pentagon to reduce its role in deterrence of North Korea. U.S. policy documents suggest South Korea take primary responsibility as Pentagon priorities defending the U.S. homeland, or take Greenland or otherwise. They used some phrases here. I'll just say it's like the Pentagon foresees a, quote, more limited, so that's, their words, role in deterring North Korea with South Korea, right? They also mentioned something called the alliance modernization. Says the shift is part of what Washington has called the alliance modernization. So that's their language, more limited role, alliance modernization, but basically it's the U.S. pulling out of, say, Asia and basically conceding to China to take the region as, the dominant power. I mean, this is from the Wall Street Journal today, just a few hours ago. Pentagon's new defense strategy strikes conciliatory tone on China. And it's very interesting because, in public to Fox News and all Trump supporters say, we're taking Greenland because we're, tough on China and tough on Russia. But like, they literally just put out a policy document on a Friday that's sort of pulling out of Asia and otherwise. And so then the strategies then go to Greenland and try to basically consolidate the Western hemisphere and threaten your allies there. This is not going to end well. I'm just showing you guys what's going on. And then on the Chinese side, which is kind of interesting, she's been doing this a while lately, but kicking out basically, and there's different ways you can read it. So one way you could read it, he's kicking out corrupt individuals, or you could say kicking out disloyal. So it depends on how you want to read what Xi is up to. But this is the headlines then from the Wall Street Journal. China's Xi places his top general under investigation as military purges heat up. So like I said, there's different ways that you can read this. But I'll just say this, like China keeps ramping up their military. They're trying to modernize it, and they want to project real power against Taiwan. And then you put that together with Trump is, pulling out of Asia. Basically, that's what they're signaling. And they're also, Trump was celebrating they had some sort of deal with TikTok recently. So I think all this stuff is obviously connected. And it's interesting, though, how Trump, feels about this stuff. It just shows right here. I am so happy to have help saving in TikTok. It will now be owned by a group of great American patriots and investors, the biggest in the world, and will be on an important voice and blah, blah, blah. I think it's funny because his followers, I don't know, Trump says the most whacked out stuff all the time, right? And I think they just go along with whatever he says because they don't understand it. But that's why I try to put this all in context for you guys, because you have to remember these incidents aren't isolated. There's, deals going on behind the curtain, I guess you could say. But then when you see what happens in public, it's pretty obvious. But they did it kind of secretly with that whole Friday memo of, what they call modern alliances and, limited role in Asia, etc. This is what Carney has to say in regards to Trumpers. Have a listen.
Canada and the United States have built a remarkable partnership in the economy, in security, and in rich cultural exchange. But Canada doesn't live because of the United States. Canada thrives because we are Canadian.
And every time I see Carney, and it's not just me, but many people, I was like, okay, so how can I move to Canada? It's just so obvious. I mean, this is a country going in the right direction, and they got a leader that, pushing the country in the right direction and also cares about the regular people. I mean, you can see it right there, and I'll show you guys some more of Carney in a moment here. But it's a massive contrast to Trump, who's just like, tweeting this like weird crap with, penguins and stuff. Like this is what they're up to today. Just more penguin stuff. Americans have always known, quote, why. It's penguin stuff. Who knows? And then this is Trump too. He's talking about taking aspirin. Has, problems. Listen to this.
Our farmers happy, and that makes me happy. Thank you very much, everybody.
We saw the bruising on your hand. Are you okay?
Very good.
You good?
I clipped it on the table. So I put a little, what do they call it, cream on it, but I clipped it. I would say take aspirin if you like your heart, but don't take aspirin if you don't want to have a little bruising. If you take I take the big aspirin. And when you take the big aspirin, they tell you you're bruised. The doctor said, you don't have to take that, sir. You're very healthy. I said, I'm not taking any chances. So anyway, but that's one of the side effects of taking aspirin. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
I mean, I think anyone watching this, it's obvious that he's in massive decline. So he's petty, he's jealous, and both his mental and physical health are in decline. I mean, we can see it. He's old. I think he's going to turn 80 or is 80 already. Carney then also gave a brilliant speech talking about the values of Canada. Just want to show you guys the contrast. Have a listen to this.
What makes Canada a great country? It's a great country for everyone. It's the greatest country in the world to be a regular person. You don't have to be born rich or to a landed family here. You don't have to be a certain color or worship a certain God. Canadians believe in the value of every other Canadian. Their boundless potential to make this great country even better. Our ancestors, despite their differences, believed in each other and in us. Now, there are long periods of history where these values can prosper unchallenged. Ours is not one of them. Our values must be fought for. That's what we are doing. That's what Canadians want. Canadians are up for it.
And it's obviously, opposite of the stuff that Trump says, and obviously opposite the values that Trump holds. And it's so sick, though, to watch Trump on a daily basis, where basically people who follow Trump, they worship him and his money the same way they worship Musk and the money. And, for Trump and Musk, these people were born rich. So the idea that I worship someone because they're born wealthy, it's like, it's so sick, And I like what Kanye says about you don't have to be a particular color, don't have to be a particular religion. Whereas, again, that's the opposite of the Trump people. It's like, we really want you to be one type of color and one type of religion. And the Trump people make it clear by the policies and who they hang out with. This is from China. It's pretty funny. It is a meme war, I guess, we're doing, but basically it just shows Trump upset, anger, whatever you want to call it, like pointing a finger, and then Canada's hanging out with China. The USA is like, you got to, follow our policy. And if you want it to be against China, you got to join us. But this is where Canada's forging their own path now, right? From the UK, I guess we're doing battle of the memes. But basically, Starmer's heading off to China to make deals. And it says here, UK Prime Minister Starmer heads to China with his finance and business ministers, the first visit by a British Prime Minister since 2018. Trump's tariffs equals backfire equals US allies pivoting towards China. I mean, isn't it obvious what's going on here? And again, Trump just plays the jealous boyfriend role as both China and Canada. And you can even argue the UK here is making new friends. This is also an interesting one. So remember, Trump was tweeting out the whole penguin stuff. This is like a Chinese response meme, how the USA treats, their allies by basically Uncle Sam as a baseball bat and, beats the allies to follow. And I mean, you don't have to follow Trumper with the baseball bat beating you in Greenland, right? And this is actually pretty effective meme strategy if you're going to do the meme war.
China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the US market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't care. We don't care. China has been here for 5,000 years. Most of the time, there was no United States, and we survived. Right. And if the United States wants to bully China, we will deal with the situation without the United States. And we expect to survive for another 5,000.
So it's a very different point of view. You won't hear this that often in the USA, but there are other countries out there in the world. And I just give you different points of view on this stuff. Here's another one. This is actually pretty interesting. I don't think it really made the American news at all, but this is, again, another view from China. Everyone should be equal before the rules. And a very small number of countries should not have privileges based on strength. The world cannot return to the law of the jungle where the strong prey on the weak. Every country has a right to safeguard its legitimate interests. China has always attached importance to promoting the common prosperity of its trading partners through its own development. China is committed to expanding the global economic and trade pie. We will never deliberately pursue a trade surplus. We are not only willing to be the world's factory, but also the world's market. So I think it's really important to, share a different perspective to where basically China's like, we're not just the factory, we also want to be the market. Canada's like, hey, we have our own values, we're strong, we thrive because we're Canadian. And every country's going to have a different point of view on this stuff. And I honestly thought that this was actually a pretty effective meme from China, right? If Trump thinks you can treat allies like this, you're not going to get that many people who want to be in an abusive relationship. So that's my thoughts on this one. I'd like to hear yours, and I'll catch you all in the next video.